What's going on, everybody? It's dotbets. We're back at it. It is week 8 of the NFL season coming at you guys with the On the Dot live stream powered by always Occupy Fantasy. Make sure you guys are checking those guys out. It is NBA season. MLB is wrapping up. We have the NFL going strong. Occupy Fantasy has all your needs. They have been absolutely dominating the early NBA. I just see screenshots left and right of people winning. So make sure you guys check them out at occupyfantasy.com. Use the referral link on the link below. Still feel a little bit under the weather. Could not make a show last Sunday. I literally could not talk. So if I do sound a little nasally, I do apologize. But yeah, it's been kicking my ass the whole freaking week. So, but we are ready to get after it. Done. We got a couple spreads. We have 3 props. We got the VIP teaser as always, and then we got some anytime touchdowns that we want to run through. So make sure you guys, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Oh, we got Justin here. What's good? Vibes are high always. The optimism is always high. Sunday morning, everyone's feeling good. Everyone's saying, how can this not hit, right? This is too good to be true. Like Cooper Kupp plus 140, I think, plus 130, anytime touchdown again, the second straight week. What could go wrong? There's just nothing that could go wrong that way. I was on him last week, and obviously that did not hit because he was plus 105, and he got 2 catches, which is just insanity. But Puka went off. So we'll see. But if this is your first time checking me out, make sure you guys hit that like button below. If you guys are on Twitter or X now, make sure you guys hit that retweet button. Would appreciate the love. All right. So how we first go about this, first 5 to 10 minutes, we're just going to go over some DFS strategies, what I'm thinking stack wise, because week 8 is completely different. And it's like the NFL did a reset button, and everyone is playing this week. So there's no bye weeks. We have a 13-game full slate. So it feels like week 1 all over again on the DFS landscape. And if you remember playing with week 1, stacking 3x1s, you don't have to force it. So you're more than likely going to go with like a 2-0, 2x1 stack. But if you really, really like a game, you can 3x1 it, but like you just don't have to force it at all. We got Rob B. What's going on? Let's get it this week for sure. Trying to get back at it. Last week didn't have a show, but we were still profitable. I think we went 4-3. It was like plus 0.3. So nothing crazy, but always profitable is nice to have. So let's go. All right, so first game, we got the Eagles Commanders. So Eagles 7-point favorites, 43.5 point total. This is a game that I like to stack because anytime I can play against the Commanders defense, I'm going to do it every single time. Unless like last week where it was the Giants offense where I was like, I'm staying away. You can't target the Giants offense whatsoever in DFS. But the Eagles here, you can. I think this one you can 3x1 with Hurts. Goddard, Hurts, Brown, Hurts, Smith, and then come back with Scary Terry, come back with the cheap Logan Thomas, or come back with the Curtis Samuel. If you want to get crazy with it, go Dotson, but he's burned me so many times this year. I'm kind of done with him. But this is a game I think you can get to 3x1. If you want to just stay with the 2x1, I would go Brown over everybody. Obviously, he's going for that record. He's got 5 straight plus or 125 yards. So I think it's one more. He ties the record. Definitely think that's part of the game script here. I would think. Justin says Samuel is a true game time decision. So if that's the case, default to Dotson if you want there. But I'd probably just run it back with Scary Terry and be done with it. Next game is the ugliest game of this. Actually, there's 2 that are pretty dang ugly. But the Falcons-Titans game, that is just straight ugliness. I have only person that I truly want to target in this game. There's 2. Okay, there are 2 receivers. basically it's Drake London, who's come along very, very strong as of late. Kind of been that preseason guy that a lot of people wanted to see, that wide receiver one jump. And then DeAndre Hopkins, because he's an underperforming wide receiver for Occupy. And if you know anything about them, usually when they're an underperforming wide receiver, they go off. So even with Will Levis and Malik Willis in the play here, you can take a dart throw on DeAndre Hopkins. Everybody else, I mean, you can't trust Bijan anymore. You got Algier there still, and who knows if he's going to flare up with sickness. Pitt's going to be tough to trust as always, but he has shown flashes as of late. But truly, the only two people that I want something a part of this game is Drake London and DeAndre Hopkins. Jets Giants is another ugly game, but I still think there's two ways to go about it. I think Brees is a very good play. I know he's very, very highly owned. I think he's like mid-20s, but he is under-owned and underpriced for what he's going to do. So I'm 100% on the Brees train. If you just got to make a stance for if you want to be under the field or match it or go a little bit heavier. I went a little bit heavier than the field there. And then the guy running it back with like a little tiny mini game stack. I like Darren Waller today. And only reason for that is the Jets, it's like a pass funnel to the tight end position. The wide receivers have a very, very tough time against this Jets defense. Their pass rush is elite, and they have to get the ball out of their hands very, very quickly. You can see some screens to Saquon, but I think Darren Waller is going to be fed this afternoon with these short throws. So, you can throw Darren Waller in there. I really think Darren Waller plus 360 to score touchdowns pretty wild. But it's still something that, throw into a lotto or put some or sprinkle on that, but nothing crazy there. But I thought that was pretty wild odds. Then you have a very, very intriguing shootout that I think could happen between two rookie quarterbacks. The Texans-Panthers game. I think both of these offenses, especially the Panthers coming out of the bye with the new play caller, I think it could be a little bit more not as predictable, and less usage of Miles Sanders is always better, in my opinion. I just could not believe they gave him that much money, and now they're talking up Chuba Hubbard. You still got Thielen. You got DJ Chark there. Coming out of the bye week, I think these guys can put up some good offensive schemes. And then the Texans, they've shown it all year long. They got Tank Dell back. Their offensive line is a lot more healthy. Pierce split time with Singletary last week. No one in the industry truly knows why that happened, because he took the couple of weeks before that, it was like 95% of the carries. So it is a situation to monitor. So if you are going to play Dameon Pierce, which he's in a fantastic matchup, season long, I think you have to play him. You're probably more handcuffed at the running back position if you got Dameon Pierce. But for DFS, I think you can target him. Just more of like a high risk play, in my opinion. Then you got the Patriots Dolphins game, 46.5 point total. I've seen a lot of love actually on the Patriots coming in. I think it was like 9.5, and now it's down to 8. So for whatever reason, the industry is climbing on the backs here of Bill Belichick and the Patriots. I can't do it. It's just something that with Mac Jones, I just can't put my money behind him ever. Nothing excites me with that guy and this Dolphins offense. I know Tyreek popped up on the injury report. Same with Mostert. Those two seem to be fine. I'm okay with stacking the Dolphins here in this matchup. And if you want to bring it back with somebody cheap, you got the Kendrick Bourne, and you also have that's like Demario Douglas. He's very, very cheap. I think he's like 3,300. And he is a wide receiver for the Patriots who has come on strong here as a rookie. So a couple of cheap options on the backside there with the Patriots. My next stack that I will be doing here is the Rams-Cowboys game, 45.5 point total. I think the Rams are a particularly sharp side here, plus 6.5. But I have seen some love for the Cowboys. But I think this Rams team bounces back from that performance that they had against the Steelers. Cowboys do have the advantage on the defensive end or defensive side of the ball, But I'm actually going to stack the Rams side more than I am the Cowboys side, because I think just the concentrated target share of Stafford, Cup, and then Puka is more elite than trying to guess if you just go, unless you go a 2x1 Dallas where it's Dak and Lamb and you bring it back with Cup, something like that. But if you're trying to go 3x1, the Ram side is definitely a lot more easier to figure out. And then we got the Jaguars-Steelers game, total of 41. This is a game I'm definitely betting, and I have a couple plays from this game, but I haven't gotten there DFS wise. I got bits and pieces, but nothing crazy. I do. If you do want to stack this game, I lean the Jaguars side, but nobody truly excites me enough to recommend as a stack. Vikings Packers 41.5 point total. I think this game is intriguing from the Vikings standpoint. And then you have a run back between Watson and Dubs. Jones should be a little bit more healthy, but I still am that guy hasn't been the same since that hamstring injury in week 1, and it's now week 8. So that was a pretty significant injury, and you've kind of seen his performance drop from there. But Addison, Hawkinson, and then you have KJ Osborne as well. Definitely could stack the Viking side. I haven't got there, but I can definitely see it. My next stack is always, even last week, we were on Minshew and the Colts. We're going to run it back. We're going to go only a 2x1 here, though, with my man Gardner Minshew. Their pace of play has been unbelievable. And so you're playing a team who loves to slow the pace down in the Saints. I think the Colts dictate the pace of the game here, especially at home. Minshew with Downs, Minshew with Pittman is a great stack. Keep an eye on Zach Moss. He says he's going to play, but I still think even if he's iffy or if he misses, obviously, Jonathan Taylor is the best play at the running back position this week, underpriced at 6,200. If he's the lead back, he's going to catch passes. He's going to be you could potentially lock button him if you want to, especially if Zach Moss sits. But I prefer Zach Moss to play to keep Taylor's ownership kind of reasonable. And as Justin said, JT at 6,200 is a crime. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. I got him at 50% currently in my lineups, and if Moss ends up, I think if he ends up playing, I might take it up to about 60 or 65. But I'm riding heavy with JT kind of as my anchor this week. And then if you want to bring it back with the Saints, Chris Olave is in a prime spot against the Colts, who give up a ton to the wide receiver 1 position, especially with Michael Thomas out. You could throw a dart with Rashid. I don't think he's out, but he's a game time decision. Rashid Shaheed is a great play as well if you want to get a little bit different in those lineups. Game that I am totally fading is this Browns Seahawks game, 37.5 point total. I have a little bit of Kareem Hunt for my DFS lineups, but if you want to go cheap, look at Lockett. If Lockett's out, you got to play some JSN this week. But you could always go back to Kenneth Walker. You could always go back to DK Metcalf. But this Browns defense is elite, and you've seen it. Even though the Colts put up all those points, I mean that was a fluky game. I don't think the Seahawks have any of those tricks in their bag at all. Man, next game I want to stack, but I stayed away. It's this Ravens-Cardinals game. Ravens being 9.5 point favorites, I'd probably lean to just a 2-0 or a 2-1 stack. Don't go 3-1 here, but you could go Lamar and Andrews. You could go Lamar, Flowers, or you could go if you really wanted to go, you could OBJ, but I wouldn't go that far or that extreme. I'd probably stick it with those two, Andrews and Flowers. You could bring it back with Marquise Brown, the good old revenge game narrative. We'll take that with a grain of salt, or come back with a very, very cheap tight end that I'm on this week is Trey McBride. I think he's like 2,800, so you could go that route as well. My third stack here is the Cincinnati Bengals versus the 49ers, 43.5 point totals. coming off the bye, should be the most healthy this team has been all season long. And against the 49ers defense, if you've been watching football this season, supposed to be this elite machine. I mean, I've seen holes in it, and I've seen people pick it apart. You saw Cousins pick it apart last week in prime time. I think it's a great spot here to target a 3-by-1 with Burrow, Higgins, Chase, bring it back with Brandon Ayuk, bring it back with CMC. It's a very expensive stack. So if you're going that route, make sure you do have some cheap pieces. You know, the Douglas we talked about, Trey McBride we talked about. So just a couple cheaper pieces to make this stack work. But this is definitely a game I'm getting exposure to. And then the last game of the 3:30 slate, we got the Chiefs Broncos. Supposed to be some snow. I think that's already, or it's like happening now, or happened later, late last night. So I don't know how much is going to be happening during the game. The total didn't budge after Schefter sent that tweet out. So I don't expect this game to be any different. It actually ticked up. It was 45.5, and now it went to 46. So I don't know if Schefter just wanted to get everybody all pumped up. Couple weathermen in the industry of DFS kind of counteracted him and just said, yeah, it's not going to be during the game. There will be snow probably at times, but I don't think it's going to factor in too much in this scenario with that over-under staying true, actually ticking up to 46. So if you do want to get some exposure to some Chiefs, you definitely can. I would prefer, if you did this game stack, come back with Sutton over Judy. All right, so that's the DFS strategies. We're going a Dallas stack. We're going Cincy stack. We are going Indy and Philly. So those are the 4 stacks that I'm rolling with. And let's get it to. So I got 2 spread plays that we'll get going here. And let me know if you guys have any start-sit questions over fantasy. I know now with no bye weeks, you're not forced to play anybody. You got a lot more decisions. So make sure you guys throw those in the comments. And let's see. And make sure if you guys have any props that you guys are looking at, make sure you guys hit me up. All right. So the first game, I did say I was betting this total, or not total, betting this side, or betting this game. And that is the Jacksonville Jaguars here at -2 on DK. It actually ticked up to 2.5 as I was on stream because they read my mind and they knew exactly where I was going. But it's always tough to kind of fade this Tomlin at home, being especially a home dog. And it's crazy because the Steelers, they started off the year so bad, and all of a sudden you look and they're 4-2. Like it's just Mike Tomlin showing everybody that he's probably the best coach in the NFL. And time again, he just continues to get his guys to overperform. But this Jacksonville team, this offensive line is getting incredibly healthy. You've seen ETN become an absolute beast. And I think he scored 3 straight touchdowns, or 3 games of 2+ touchdowns the last 3 games. So, and this Jaguars defense has held Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes to 20 and 17, and they make you one-dimensional. So what they make you do is they make you pass, and they can't they make you pass, but then their coverage is one of the best coverage teams in the league. So I think this really, really is a disadvantage to Kenny Pickett here, trying to get the ball to George Pickens. I know Deontay is going to give it a go. We'll see how well he will do today, but I'm a big fan of Jaylen Warren today. I think there's going to be a lot of checkdowns with that pass rush of the Jaguars. So I think the Jaguars can make the Steelers team one-dimensional and absolutely get after them on the road here. Plus, the Steelers can't defend wide receivers to save their life. And I think the Jaguars have 2 wide receiver ones. And they just pick and choose in their matchups, to pick and choose how the game is going. And they just expose teams with either Christian Kirk or Calvin Ridley. I think it could be a big game for both of them. If I had to pick one, I think today leans to Christian Kirk, as he can line up everywhere and make the Steelers defense a little bit chaotic. So give me the Jaguars here, -2 on the road in Pittsburgh. All right, and then we will go with another spread, but we're going to go the first half. And this is probably the best first half team we have seen this season. And that is the juggernaut offense of this Baltimore Ravens. You got them at 5.5 on DK for the first half. What's crazy because I thought about this and then I was like, man, but the Cardinals play everybody very, very tough in the first half, and then they let it go, and that's been their MO all season long. But I think the way that this Ravens team clicked, I mean, they played the best game that you could possibly play last week, and usually I fade them, but I still think at times when I was watching the game, I just thought that they're still not even to the point that they want to be. And this Todd Monken offense it's clicking, but it's still not even there. And I think this is going to be another route from the get-go. The last 4 first half games we have here for the Ravens, there is a 21-3 deficit, a 10-3 deficit, an 18-3, and then the 28-0 route last week of the Lions. So they go on the road. They go to, they're going cross country to the Arizona Cardinals. It's a 3:30 start, not the end of the world here. I think the Ravens come out on fire, lead by more than 5.5 to end the first half. All right, and then the VIP teaser we got, as always, this is 1.5 units. We're going to go with the Eagles pick 'em. So 7-point teaser. We're going to move the Eagles down from -7 to a straight up pick 'em. Ravens from the 9.5 to a 2.5. And then the Chiefs pick 'em from 7 to just to the pick 'em right here for plus 130, 1.5 units. And we've had some teams, man. I usually tease these guys up, but this year, I just feel like these favorites should be getting there. And the last couple of weeks, like the Bills sold us last week against the Patriots, which I couldn't believe. They took the lead late and then they blew that one. But I think these 3 teams, I know they're all on the road. That's why I think it could be a little bit closer game. Let's just tease them down, get a little bit better odds, and go that way with the 7-point teaser here. All right, let me know in the comments what you guys are liking. We'll go with our 3 props and then some anytime touchdowns and get up on out of here. Make sure we get all of our lineups in for DFS. Make sure we get all of our different parlays that we got going for week 8, all finalized before the good old noon kickoff. All right, so let's go. Let's bring up the OccuProp radar. So fantastic tool here from Occupy Fantasy. You can find them on their website at occupyfantasy.com. You go to this betting tab, you can see the live odds. You can see money lines, spreads, over under at all different types of books, and simply click bet now. Use the deposit bonuses on their website. Easy as easy can get. Make sure you guys use those deposit bonuses, especially if you're just starting to get into sports betting. Give you a little bit of a bump in your bankroll there. Then with the OccuProp radar, I use this thing religiously every single day. It's very, very easy to do. You come down here and we're going to go to our first guy. So our first play we're going to go is Josh Downs over 4.5 receptions. All right, so I click him. We got all of his available player props here. Click total receptions, and all the books that it's on is clearly right in front of you. So BetMGM, Caesars, DraftKings, and FanDuel. Clearly, you can see the best odds. Best odds are on Caesars. I actually won them on FanDuel on accident, but you can get this for -101, over 4.5, over on Caesars or on FanDuel. So we're targeting this game. I think this pace of play is one of the best in the league for the Colts. Think they can speed this Saints offense up, and Josh Downs has been a key piece for Gardner Minshew since he started. We got this hitting in 4 of the last 5 games, and his target, he's averaged about 7 targets a game as well. So he's he's basically the guy that moves the chains. And Pittman, as much as I want him to succeed and be that guy, he just has not been that guy this year. I'm a really big fan of Josh Downs, just the pace of play that they're playing at, and a lot of the usage that he's got. So 4.5. I think it started at 3.5 if you got it earlier in the week, but it was juiced to like minus 150 or something like that. So a lot of momentum here. Got it to 4.5. I'm okay with playing it right here. Goes any higher, I'm not playing it, but I would definitely recommend Josh Downs over 4.5 here against the Saints this afternoon. All right, and now we're gonna go back to that Ravens game, and a guy that I have a future on for the season, where it's over 6.5 total touchdowns. He's currently at 5, so that's looking very nice. We're gonna go to Mark Andrews over 50. Sorry, it's 55.5 now. It's 55.5. That's what I'll grade it at. 55.5 over on FanDuel at minus 110. And you got to make sure, yeah, that's it. Minus 110 over on FanDuel. It's not the greatest of matchups. In years past, it was like a no-brainer. If you're playing against the Cardinals, you're playing the tight end. They've shored that up a little bit, but the usage that Mark Andrews has in this offense, it's a no-brainer in my opinion. Him and Flowers, Flowers always continues to stay like in that 50 to 60 range, or 50 to 55 range. Now he's up to 60.5. Mark has stayed there. So I kind of see the more value here on Mark Andrews at 55.5, who's hit this in 4 straight with totals of 80, 65, 69, and 63. With average targets, let's see, the last 5 average target a game, about 5. So, he's catching longer completions. He's got a long completion of 36, 16, 38, and 22. So he's definitely a factor and I think Flowers plays into that as he's a little bit more underneath. So you haven't seen many of those, 8 to 10 reception games of Andrews, but he's getting down the field and getting a lot more yards. So a lot of people like to go to receptions for him, which it's at 4.5, and he's actually been under the last 3 or 5 games. But I'm going to go receiving yards here at over 55.5 against the Arizona Cardinals. And our last prop of the show was one that I've eyed all week long, and it was pretty wild because I wanted to take this on Wednesday when it came out. It was 18.5. Then I let it be. I kept going, and it was like 19.5. Then it went to 20.5. I was like, okay, I lost that number. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at it this morning, and I go back to it, and it went right back to 18.5. And I'm like, man, I'm just going to pounce on it. I don't care if it's a trap. I don't care whatever it is. It's one of the ones that I liked the most going into this slate, and it is going back to that Jaguars Steelers game. Jaylen Warren over 18.5 receiving yards. Like I said, if I'm betting, it's a good little correlation here. If the Jags are going to be up all game, and the Jaguars don't allow people to run the football, Jaylen Warren the best option for this game to extend, especially drives. So Jaylen Warren over 18.5. I'm going to pull up the OccuProp radar. Jaylen Warren. And we got total receiving yards. Oh, it must be doing something here. But basically, it's 18.5 on FanDuel here. Didn't pull it correctly here. But yeah, we're going to go Jaylen Warren over 18.5. He's hit this in 4 of his last 5 games. Last week was a little bit of a dud against the Rams. He actually ran the ball a little bit better with 32 yards, and Najee got a little bit more involved. I still think in a trailing game script, Jaylen Warren is their best option. Receptions, he's got as high as 6 on the year with multiple different targets, 6, 6, 4, 6, 3, and 2. So I'm not putting much into what happened last week against the Rams. I thought that was more of a what the floor could potentially be. But Jaylen Warren over 18.5 receiving yards. Let's get that one by the first half. All right. Now let's go to our anytime touchdown. So this was a guy that we cashed, I want to say 3 weeks ago, and he was playing against the Broncos. He exploded for like a 70-plus yard touchdown to cash it for us. I don't think he'll do that this week, but I do love him to score. We are going to go with good old Breece Hall to score first touchdown and an anytime touchdown, plus 130. The best odds are over on, let's get to the Occupy Radar, over on BetMGM, plus 130. If you're on DraftKings or FanDuel, plus 120 is just fine. Score the first touchdown is plus 550. The Giants have given up the third most rushing touchdowns in the league to the running back position. So, and basically Dalvin Cook is obsolete from the game plan. He comes in and bits and pieces, but Breece Hall is their lead back. Should be able to move the football against this Giants team, especially the Giants defense. I love Breece Hall plus 130. I think the industry is on him as well for the ownership wise, and I think it correlates pretty well. Excuse me. All right, and then taking him first touchdown as well. And then we got our last play, which we have come close on, man, but we have not hit one yet this season. So we are due. That's what they would say. Our 3-leg anytime touchdown parlay. We are going to go with Kupp, Ridley, and Hall. And I know I told you I like Kirk a little bit more today. You could throw Kirk in here. They're the same odds. I went with the more red zone targets here with Calvin Ridley. I think Kupp gets back in there. Don't overthink it with a plus 130 or plus 145, depending on what book you're on. And then Breece Hall, like I just said, Giants give up the third most rushing touchdowns. I really, really like this one. Let's go Kupp, Ridley, and Hall, plus 1401 on FanDuel. I think it's plus like 1392 on DraftKings. So either book is fine with me, but let's get that. I truly, truly want one of these to dang hit one of these weeks where we've been so dang close. We've hit 2 of 3, I think 3 times in a row. So we'll get after it. So let's a little recap. We got the Jaguars -2. We got the Ravens first half -5.5. The good old 7-point VIP teaser. Eagles, Ravens, and the Chiefs. Our props of the week, we got Josh Downs, over 4.5 receptions. Mark Andrews is at 55.5 receiving yards. Apologize for that. And we got Jalen Warren over 18.5 receiving yards. Then we got Breece Hall to be our touchdown pick to click of the week with his first touchdown score, plus 550. And then the parlay of Kupp, Ridley, and Breece Hall, plus 1401 over on FanDuel. All right. If you guys have any additional questions, make sure you join the Discord in the link below. If you have any additional questions, throw a comment on the YouTube channel as well. Appreciate you guys tuning in after a little bit of a week off from me not being able to talk. But we are, the vibes are high. So let's get after it. Let's cash some tickets for week 8. Appreciate you guys tuning in. See you guys next week.